Today we'll be talking about wealth creation, building wealth from scratch. You see, this topic is very particular and very specific because a lot of people build wealth from a pedestal. If your dad is Dangote, you can't tell me you're building wealth from scratch at all. It's not possible. Or your dad is a $10, you can't be building wealth from scratch. But for many of us, that we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to wealth creation, generational wealth, global wealth. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot to know, and there's a lot to do because more often than not, you are building wealth from scratch. You are building wealth from scratch, right? So we need to learn from someone that's built wealth from scratch or that is building wealth from scratch because those that have been in your experience can relate better to where you are coming from and can give you pointers to what you need to do or what you need to avoid. So in the light of this, I want you to join me with clapping, with shouting, with your emojis. I want you to help me welcome our speaker for tonight. Our speaker for tonight is Benjamin Adeleke. I won't read his biography. I want him to, give us full detail about it. But let me just give you a little background. He's one of my mentors when it comes to real estate and money. And man, whenever I'm with him, I have a lot to learn about civil engineering. I have a lot to learn. In fact, I've learned a lot about civil engineering. The other day, I was telling my friend that, you see, this building that you are seeing, before we can build the foundation, we have to factor in the amount of the live loads, the dead loads, how many people that the building will be hosting. We put everything together before we not design. Okay, what kind of structural foundation can hold this building? And this is in connection to what I've learned from him over the years, over the months. Good evening, bro Ben. I don't know whether you are able to speak and to
Yeah, good evening, Bolu.
yeah, good evening, sir.
And good evening, everyone.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So I want you to tell us about who you are, introduce yourself, then we'll kick off the foundation from there, the conversation from there.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I hope you can all hear me.
Clearly.
I hope my voice is not cracking or
No,
something.
it's not.
Okay, so good to see you all. My name is Benjamin Adeleke. I'm a civil engineer, a project manager. I'm also into real estate fully. So I've delivered and managed over 200 units of apartments, across Lagos, Ibadan, and Abeokuta. What again? What else you want to do? So, in short, maybe along the line, you get to know me more, you get to know much about me. But for now, so that is simply who I am. And we are here tonight to learn. You see, when Bolu gave me this topic, I was like, Bolu, what's up? I hope you are not trying to because it's actually a big topic, we are all in it together, we are all trying to build wealth together. I don't even think I've started. That was why I was shocked when Bolu gave me the topic to talk about, to speak on it. So I was like, wow. So I'm not even a billionaire yet. Why are you giving me such topic to talk about? So, but then I realized that we are all in it. Trying to build wealth. In one way or the other, we are trying to build wealth.
Yeah.
So, and this is what we are trying to learn together tonight. So I hope, as we go in fully on it, so we'll be able to learn one or two. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Please let me appreciate Engineer Ben. Yeah, man, we are so privileged to have you here. I know you are very humble. You don't want to talk a lot about how much you are doing. But if you are someone that manage about 200 units across Lagos, Ibadan, Abeokuta, you know that's not small feat. That's billions of naira in real estate. And that that level of experience is not easily gotten anywhere. More than that, you work with billionaires, right? So what does it say to us? You've drawn close to wealth enough to understand the system. I know you are not the billionaire in Nigeria that we are celebrating today, but we have a lot to learn from you.
Yeah, so I must say,
Definitely.
working with billionaire doesn't make you a billionaire.
True.
Being a billionaire, it's a personal thing. In
Mm.
fact, which I'll be sharing more of it,
Uh,
is a personal, is more of like you saying, I want to have a first class.
mm,
you know, it's a decision thing. Like, it's not something you just wake up and become a millionaire. It's
mm,
something that, you have to build a structure, a system, you have to, it's a discipline kind of thing. You have to have
yeah.
some level of discipline. So it will not just appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that being a billionaire is a personal thing. There are people that work with billionaires for many years and are still poor. So, but the truth is that affiliation is supposed to give us some level of exposure if we are indeed curious to be. So let's kick off the conversation from there. What is wealth? How do you define wealth, and how do you measure your wealth? Let me start from getting to know your view about wealth.
Wow.
Then we'll also ask for other people on the call too.
Wow. Uh, ah, how do I start? Okay, let me start with a definition that we are all common with. Back in high school, secondary school. Definition from Adam Smith. I hope you all did economics. So Adam Smith described wealth as the abundance of life necessities. And Warren Buffett, that we are all close to, that we all know today. I believe all of us know Warren Buffett. So he also defined wealth. He said, wealth is what you have. What wealth is what you have left
Mm,
after you spend what you earn.
wow.
Wealth is what you have left after you spend what you earn.
Mm,
So in more how do I put it? To share more light on that. If you are a salary earner and you earn, let's say for instance 300,000 monthly, and at the maybe after you remove your expenses and all, and you still have enough like 200,000. somebody I know somebody will say not in this economy, but then let's say for instance that you have like half of it, let's say 50%, you still have 50% left, and the remaining 50% is able to take cater for all your needs, and you have
mm,
50% left. So
yeah.
that really shows that you are on a journey to wealth. So that means you already have half of your earning, you know to build wealth. And that is what wealth is all about. When you have more than enough
Mm,
to take care of your needs. After taking care of your needs, you still have more than enough. You
mm,
understand? So that is wealth. So wealth is not just how much money you have. It is your ability to live life on your own terms without financial stress. Wealth is how long you can survive without working. So let's say you are collecting salary as well. So, and maybe they stop you from work. You are sacked, and so let's say if you cannot survive after a year,
yeah.
a year is too much. Let's say after 6 months you cannot survive. In fact, that really shows that you are not in wealth.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
there.
you are not yet there. So wealth is, your wealth, if you are building wealth, your wealth should be able to take you, even beyond 6 months. You should be able
Mm,
to cover your needs beyond 6 months. And in fact, we are all in this. In fact, in this current Nigeria, I know we are all, um, going through this. So, but then, and also wealth is also when you have financial freedom. when you attain that financial stability, when you're on that level where you no longer worry about, what to spend, things to spend on, you have more than enough, financial stability. So
Yeah.
that is wealth also. And wealth is when you also have peace of mind.
Mm.
When you have peace of mind, you don't have health issues, you are okay mentally, you are okay, health wise, in all ramification, you are okay,
Yeah.
that is also wealth. And wealth is also when you have control over your time, when you have
Wow.
control over so this is what most of us are still battling with. You don't have control over our time, we
Mm-hmm.
still people still engage us to to work for them,
Yeah, that's
people
true.
buy our time, you know we don't have control over our time. So your boss can call you, do this, do that, do this, even when you have a plan, your boss can say, okay, I want you to do this, and you don't have choice than to do it. So wealth is also the ability to take care of your family, people around you, give back to the society. When you have more than enough, you don't to give back, to
Yeah.
just people around you are happy,
Yeah.
so that is also wealth. So I believe with this few point of mine. So
Oh, it's
I've
actually
answered
deep.
your
Yeah, absolutely. You answered my
uh,
question, and my
okay.
question just points to other more questions. But before I ask other question, I want to get feedback on definition of wealth. So I want to open the conversation to everyone on the call.
Okay.
So bro, you've mentioned a lot about wealth, peace of mind, ability to control your time, what you have left after you've sorted all your bills. That's a lot. That means that you must be earning significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, and it's not to you now, it's to our audience on the call. Can we say someone that's collecting 100,000 a month, that relatively that's a small money. Let's say you are living in the city, if you are living in Lagos and you're collecting a K a month, it's very small. But let's say you are living in the village, you are living in the outskirts, and you're collecting 100K a month, and maybe let me say your living expenses is like 50K. Um, Now let me ask our audience on the call: can we say that person is wealthy? You have 50K left, so with that 50K, you can still invest in maybe in some crops to resell them. Comparing that to someone living in the city as on earning like 1 million naira a month, and let me say your basic expenses like 300K. So at the end, you still have like 700K left, or you're able spending a lot. Let's say your expenses were like 700K. And let me use a perfect example: 700K. You have 300K left, but you know that you spend more in the city than in the village. My question is that between the two set of people, who is more wealthy, and are we seeing well? Like, do you have other alternative views to what wealth really is? John, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, my belt. Greetings to you all. Sorry for the challenges.
Okay, is someone speaking? You don't have time, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, John.
Yeah, so thanks for the floor. So the idea of what is a very funny thing, actually. You can be earning 500,000 a month, I can be earning 50,000 a month, and I can be wealthier than you.
Mm.
Now, if you are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, you read this book or listen to him, you know his idea of wealth. The idea of wealth is the number of days you can live without any money. Now, let's say it can be it's a timeline. It can be a week, it can be a day, it can be a month, it can be a year, maybe 3 years. Now, yeah, if you stop any money today, how long can you live? Now, imagine any 50K, yeah, any 500,000 naira. You understand? And our spending habit is different. Now, probably out of my 50,000 naira, I end up spending half of it in the month. And out of 500,000 naira, you have no saving, you have nothing put aside every month. Or let me say, you put about aside 100,000 naira out of 500,000. That is spend 400,000 a month. Yeah, and me, I spent 25,000 a month. That's mine. totally expensive. And at the end of the day, maybe we end up saving. Let me, for example, we end up saving 500,000 naira together, and both of us stop earning money today. In a month time, you finish your in a month time plus you finish your money, and me spending 25,000 naira in a month, I can spend my 500,000 for more than a year. I don't know if my scenario is here.
Yeah, John, I completely get your point of view. What you are saying is that um given the place you are living and your level of expenses, even though you have little money left, it can still cover you for longer period of time than someone that is living in the city with larger budget. Am I correct?
Yes, the
Yeah,
evolution
I
of
think
it. How
I
long
think
can live without making money?
okay. I think I get that point of view. I think so. For me, my idea of wealth is ability to do everything I have in mind to do. Like, I agree with what Bro Ben said about peace of mind. But many of the times we have a lot of dreams that we can't pursue now because it takes incredible amount of resources. But with wisdom, with resources, we can get a lot of things done. So it's me being waking up and saying that today I want to do something and I have what I have to do it. In the next 5 years, I want to do something. I have what I have to do it. But you see, I think it's debatable, right? But I agree completely what he said. Being able to meet your needs, being able to fulfill your dreams, having peace of mind, having control over your time because, man, you have the money. So who's pay? You don't care about anybody's money as it were. You can live your life without anybody paying you because you have enough. Thank you very much, bro Ben. That's so insightful. I want to ask you something, which is something I learned from your story. So there was a particular time you finished school and you were in Lagos and you were just building from scratch. So let's talk about practical things now. You were building from scratch. And I heard that even at that time you were not, you don't have a specific house that you can call to yourself in Lagos. How did you start? Like, how did you figure it out? How did you become who you are today? Like, how do you summarize that for us? I know you say grace, but what's the mindset and what's the process like for you?
Wow. That's a long story actually. So it's a long story. Yeah, so I thank God actually. So, but let me share a little with you. So, when I first moved to Lagos, things were not easy at all. Honestly, it wasn't easy. If I remember, I think that was 10 years ago or so. So I came with little or nothing, you know, nothing, nothing. When I say nothing, no, you should understand. So I was actually in the midst of confusion, back then in Ibadan. So tired of my state of living. Not like we are, not like we are sort of poor, but then we can say middle class. But now I don't think there is middle class now. Is either you are poor or rich. So, but back then I can say middle class. But then I wanted more. I wanted more. So one day I just took my bag and I said I'm traveling to Lagos. Do you have anybody in Lagos? I said no. So where do you stay when you get there? I don't know. Are you sure about this? Yes. Okay. They try to convince me that okay, don't go, don't worry, we'll get work for you here. No, no, no. I said no, just let me try. Let me try Lagos. And but then before I made up my mind to before that time, I wanted to travel to Lagos. I have a couple of my cousins in
Yeah.
Lagos, but then I've been telling them, I want to come to Lagos to work, to do this, to explore. They will tell me no, that they are not around, just because of accommodation. So I was having accommodation issue. So on this fateful day, I made up my mind. I said I'm going. So I carried my bag, Lagos straight. So on getting to Lagos, I can remember I have this friend of mine that, usually tell me he does labor work in Lagos, blah blah blah. So I called him and he said, okay, I'm currently working on this side. Da, da, da. So I went there, you know. I believe in fact, one of my guys on this is present in this meeting. So he will know this particular place that I will mention now. So engineer Emma, you will know. So that site happened to be 10 Miley.
You are welcome, sir.
Yeah, engineer Emma. So he
Engineer
actually
smart.
yeah,
I
he
feel you.
actually
I feel you.
yeah, you're welcome. So he actually delivered this
You are
company
right.
actually delivered that per Miley. So that per Miley was where I started from, as a labor. As a labor. So they were doing piling work, and I started, doing the piling work with them, and as a labor. So but then as at then I already have my ND. So I was hoping to do my IT. So
You are right. You are right, sir.
so I walk up to the engineer on site, and I told him my story that I'm a student. I'm actually looking for a placement for my IT. So that was where the journey, actually started from. From there I started what's it called? I started positioning myself, to something better. So, but this is what actually changed. From there, I became so intentional about learning and personal growth, which eventually opened, more several job opportunities for me. So from there, I got different offers, job offers that actually catapulted me to something bigger. So, and I also, I started positioning. After that, I think I started positioning myself deliberately for opportunities. In fact, if there's something I know how to do best is positioning. Honestly, I don't know. It's something that over time I've learned. I've learned to position myself to something I don't know, and this is how I get to know that I have positioned myself. When people come to me to ask me about things, I know that, oh, I'm in the right position. Yeah, I'm there. So, people always come to me to ask me about, things because they feel that, okay, I have knowledge about many things. I'm updated. I know what is going in the market space. I know what is going in, different, in just different ways. So they will come and say, okay, Ben, whenever they need, I remembered, whenever they need laborers on site, artisans, they will come and say, Ben, please, we need artisans. Oh, we need artisans. I'll say, okay, I have people. Even if I don't have, I'll say, don't worry, I'll get back to you. Before you know, I've gotten them artisans. Next time they will come. Ben, we need to buy these materials. Oh. Do you know any supplier? I say, don't worry. I have a vendor. Before you know, I already shared. Okay, I'll say, okay, you can. From there. So positioning has actually helped me so much. And it has really helped me even in getting jobs. I can't lie to you. In getting jobs, the current job I'm doing today is because I positioned myself, is networking and positioning. The people that I meet on a daily basis, how I relate to them, in short, it's just positioning. So it's something that has actually helped me so far, even in this currently now that I'm fully into real estate. People come to me and say, um, we need apartment to buy, we need apartment to rent, things like that, you know, and this boils down to personal branding. You cannot position yourself if you don't have a good personal branding. The way people feel you, the way people perceive you really matters. When people perceive you that this guy is a problem solver, is this is a the way people perceive you determines how much they will reach out to you. You understand? And it determines your level of wealth I'm telling you. So I would say make sure that people perceive you well because the way I perceive, first time I met what's it called? There's this my boss here. Okay. So first time I met engineer Ima. So he's such a technical person, and he's somebody that we've actually learned a lot from. The way he positioned himself, as a technical person. So we've actually learned so much. And whenever we are in doubt of anything, structural issues, we call him and say, if I remember those days, he used to teach us how to calculate, estimate cost of building material, estimate cost of building and all that. So it's something like, positioning is actually very important. And another thing that changed is I shifted from focusing only on survival to making to thinking long term. Yeah. So I began investing in real estate, buying land and consistently seeking out investment opportunities. So I didn't even just focus on real estate. In fact, I focus on other things like, which I also share with you. Other things like in fact, at some point I didn't have so much to even realize to invest in real estate. But then there are ways to it. You don't have to have all the money to start investing in real estate. Sometimes you can partner with people to invest in real estate. You don't have to have all the money at once. And sometimes you can invest in you know, fractional investments, where 10 people can come together and invest in, buy a land. You can do land banking together and all that. So you can also invest in stock and all that. All these things is something that once you are able to research on it, you have more knowledge to invest. So thank you very much.
Wow. We have a lot to uncover from you. We have a lot to learn from you. Like I said in the beginning. You see, one thing I really got from this conversation is that, and I'm thinking through it now, we say wealth is your ability to live many days even without having any money coming in. Let's say without your salary coming in, how many days can you survive? But the truth is that, from my own analysis, it's hard for a salary earner to really build wealth in Nigeria. I don't know how much you are earning, but let's say you are starting from scratch, as you say, and you are earning, let me see, you are working in a big organization that's paying you 500K as a graduate intern, or let me see, uh, you just finish, you just enter the organization, they're paying 500K. That's a lot of money, and that means you are living in the city, so you are really spending a lot on a daily and monthly recurring expenditure. But the fact is that for you to say you want to be a millionaire, like a millionaire in assets, to take years, which points us to the fact that what you said is one of the best ways we can build with positioning ourselves for opportunity. There are people that build wealth from salary because they are collecting real amount of money. They've reached the top phases of their career echelon, and they have enough resources to live on, enough resources to invest, and they really just put in their eggs in multiple baskets that can now grow over time. So, as people who are building wealth from scratch, we need opportunities. And you said something about positioning and branding. I think it's good we just double up on that. We are starting from scratch. We don't really have much. We are just barely saving. So how do we actually position ourselves for opportunity? I don't know what you have something to share more.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Please, can you come again?
Okay, my question is that, as people that are building wealth from scratch, I can't say the savings is the best strategy because you don't even have enough savings to buy a land. I know there are several ways we can, collaborate and invest in properties together. But I see a good option in positioning yourself for opportunity. I know that if you yourself did not position yourself for opportunity, you may be working as a laborer, saving, and by now you may still have not saved 1 million naira because
Yeah.
what's your income as it were. So you can't say all you have to do to build wealth is save. You need opportunities that can even expand your level of income and expand your level of savings. My question now is that how do we position ourselves for this opportunity? Like you said, you position yourself for opportunity. How people perceive you. People come to ask you for things. How did you create that environment around yourself?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So there's nobody is an island of knowledge, as they say, right? Um and the best way to position yourself, there's this thing is not rocket science, is you can actually start small, you know you can just start anyhow. You can start, there's no way to it. Maybe, yeah, you have to do this, do the way I did, or you can start small, you know but start right. Start small but start right. And so from there, you can start growing. And one thing you need to understand, that in doing that, you need to build system. You need to put system in place, a structured system. This is actually a way to build discipline, because the positioning I'm talking about, you won't get there, you won't achieve it one day. You understand? It will take time. And the best way to achieve it is when you build structure in place, when you build a system in place and you follow, this structured steps, that system that you built in place, follow it. In fact, this is, I always tell people, you making money, becoming a wealthy person is not by accident. No, it's by discipline. I've seen my bosses, my leaders. I've seen them. I've seen the way they relate, the way they think, how they behave. By seeing them, you understand that it's by discipline. They didn't just wake up to become a millionaire or a billionaire. There is actually a template, a structure. They put structure in place and they are following it, honestly. And you also have to, start from um most of us, we know too much. We have this knowledge, we know too much. You need to move from that level of knowledge to level of action. you know you for most of us, we overthink things. We overthink. Oh, this thing, what if I meet this person and he says no? What if this person turned me down? We overthink things. So, and most of us, we have this level of knowledge, ideas, that if we should unleash now, in fact, we'll get to a very higher place. But then we don't want to do it because I don't know. I don't know. But then we need to move from that level of knowledge to action. Start showing action. If you need to meet anybody, meet them. In fact, if you're in an event with a governor or whatever, you know, always have this mindset of, networking. Meet people, tell them what you do. That is how you can position yourself. you know Tell them what to do. Meet people on a daily basis. Meet wherever you are. Let people know what you do. So by then, they will be able to say, whenever they have anything, they will call you. And there's this other thing I also want to talk about. How do you position yourself? Okay, some of us, we have, like I say, we have knowledge, we have ideas, but we don't know how to move from that idea knowledge to, you know to a level of implementation. So uh let me quickly share you 5 levels of knowledge. Do I say knowledge? Level of information. In fact, this is what I actually learned this thing from my leader, um, most of us have knowledge, but we don't know how to go about it. We have ideas, we have updates. Yes, all of us usually ask for update, give me update. Eh? But when they give you update, do you know what to do about it? Do you know how to go about it? Do you know how to even, how to even break it down and, turn it to something that will build wealth for you, something that will bring a lot of returns. So this is how to go about it. So I'll be teaching you five ways, five levels of information. So number one is metric level. Metric level. So metric level is your ability to quantify that idea that you have. Some of you don't even know how much of ideas you have. You don't know how much of knowledge you have. So in this metric level, you'll be able to quantify that, okay, this is how much of knowledge I have. I have so much knowledge. I have little knowledge. I have so much updates. I have small updates. So another level is so having understand the metric level. So another knowledge is descriptive level. So in this descriptive level, you'll be able to all those updates, now that you know how much knowledge you have, you'll be able to properly describe each updates, each information that you have. Okay, this information is this. Okay, this you'll be able to, it's just a way of you understanding the information. Some of us, we don't know how to fine tune information. The more you meditate on information, updates, ideas, the more you get to know more about it. So the more you describe the amount of information you have, the more you'll be able to fine tune it. The more you'll be able to fine tune it. So another level is um the agonistic level. And I believe we are familiar with this. When you go to the hospital, the doctor will not treat you until you tell them what is wrong with you. So that means they also need information. They need information of what is wrong with you before they can diagnose you. So I haven't explained everything to them. So they will now look at it. Okay, okay. They will describe it. Okay, you're having malaria. So do you usually feel hot? Do you usually so the process of them asking you, do you feel hot? Are you having a headache? They are trying to describe the they are trying to describe it. Okay, are you vomiting? Are you doing this? So they are trying to describe the illness. So having done that, they will now say, okay, this is the type of malaria that you are having. They can now say, okay, this malaria is not chronic. Okay, it's still on this level. So that is the level of them being diagnosed you. So another level is after done that, after achieving the level of diagnosis, so we move to the level of prescriptive level. So prescriptive level is when okay, now you've identified which of your ideas will work. You've identified which of your ideas will work, and you say, okay, so let me implement it. Let me start implementing, let me establish it. So, okay, you now start telling people, okay, I'm into this, I do this, I do this, I built an app that will help you solve the problem of, customer, blah, 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 things like that. Oh, I built an app to help you solve the problem of housing deficits or housing, you understand. So that prescriptive level is for you to implement your ideas. It's for you to implement your ideas. So the last level, which is the number 5 level, is the reconfirm level. Reconfirm level. And this is where you need feedbacks. You want to confirm that your information, whether it worked or not. And you are telling people, have you tried my this thing? Oh, How does it work? Do you like it? So because feedback is very important. The amount of feedback you get determine, determine how well you've positioned yourself. You know, when people tell you, no, this thing is very okay. In fact, it solved my problem. I no longer worry about, getting to do this, getting to do that. In fact, thank you very much for building such an app. Thank you very, very much for solving, such, such a problem, and thank you for bringing solution. So that reconfirm level or reconfirmation level will help you, to understand that no, this my ideas now work. Yes, you know, I can now go global or do it in a very big way. So I give you these 5 information levels so that if you are that level of, you know, still you are still doubting, you don't know how to go about business, you don't know how to even start, you don't know whenever you conceive an idea, you don't know how to go about it. In fact, this is what you should be able to use this 5 level of information to address it. And trust me, it really works. I've also learned it from someone and it's working. Thank you.
Man. My note is full. It's for me to now apply this model to all my ideas and bring them up from metric level to descriptive level to now diagnose the problem, now prescribe my idea, establish it, and reconfirm it through feedback. And I got something very important here. You said at prescriptive level, you have to tell people what you do. And I remember when I was doing business on campus, I was selling books. And you see, as a business person, anywhere you go to, you want to do. I'm Polu. And this, I started Climax Books. I will sell books because you know that you need people to buy your books. And do you know that because of that, I built a lot of influence. I built a lot of connection because I have a focus. I need to meet people to sell more. So everywhere I go to, I make it as a point of duty to meet people. But now these days that many of us don't really have, like, you don't have any business, you don't have any, so you get relaxed. You don't really want to network. But I get the idea that our relationship is in connection to our wealth. There is no way we can build and position ourselves for opportunity if we are not constantly growing our network and telling them what we do. Because when they need our assistance, when they need our help, they can remember us that, this guy, let me give it to him. Thank you very much for that. Now I want to extend this conversation. Yes. I was reading this book by Dave Ramsey yesterday, and he said that, like you said again, knowledge is everywhere. Everybody knows what to do to make money. I can say everybody on this call understand why they need to save. It may not be saved, but they know that they need to save, right? They may not be investing, but they know that to be wealthy, you must invest. So he said something very powerful. He said, what separates the rich and the poor is not knowledge, it is behavior. And that got me thinking that it's not really that we don't know what to do. It's just that our behavior is inconsistent with what we know. Because we've not broken the arc of changing our behavior, our pattern of buying things, our pattern of spending money, our pattern of even not doing things we ought to do, like networking, meeting people. I want to ask you a question. What's the behavior that guarantees a person will be wealthy? You talk about discipline. What are the disciplines of the wealthy? How can we transform our lives to position ourselves for wealth and for generating high level of money?
Yeah, so thank you very much. So um let's be realistic here. There's no way you can build wealth without not having a saving behavior. There's no way. I don't know how you want to do it. Although it is not okay for you to save alone. You have to save to invest. And this is where a lot of us, this is what we don't do. Once we understand the inflation, especially currently now that things are not stable in Nigeria. Nigerian economy now. Whenever you save and your money is there, it will keep devaluing. So, but when you take out of the money and invest it, your money keep adding value. You know, so the best way to build a behavioral pattern to wealth is by saving. Honestly, by saving to invest, by saving to invest. Um, I'll tell you a little about myself. I'm this type of person that when I started making money, so I actually don't pay attention to all these to change. Small money. In fact, sometimes I don't even know when when I misplace 10,000 naira. Then, like I don't know to let you know, especially when I don't even know how to manage cash. So sometimes I don't know when I misplace 10,000, when I misplace 15,000. I don't know, especially when I have it as cash. So, but I can say my wife actually helped me, to build discipline, in saving all this little money. I always I always tell her then that if I want to, that small money cannot build house. Small money cannot, with small change you cannot become a billionaire. You can, you need to, the money that you use to build house will come in bulk. It will just come in bulk, and you just buy the house. That was my orientation then. But then it is not true. If you have that mentality, you will keep waiting. In fact, till eternity. You might keep, in fact, you will keep waiting until, believing that that bulk money will come, that big money will come, and it will not come. Honestly. So we need to cultivate that habit of saving that little, saving that little. In fact, once you have your earning, it is important to even save first before spending. Because once you started spending, it will be hard for you to save. So that little that you want to save it. Then when you save it to a certain time, to a period of time, you can now, you know, withdraw it to invest. You can withdraw it to invest. So that is a better way to, in fact, with the story I was telling you guys. So when my wife started, telling me that, okay, that little change that I don't pay attention to, I should start sending it to her. No, whenever she even sees cash on me, maybe in my pocket, and she started saving it for me. And maybe from there, I started developing that discipline. So I started using PG Vest to save little cash. I could remember there was a time, little cash, I was able to save up to 500K or so, you know, with just by sending 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, you know, on PG Vest. I was able to save up to 500K. And I was like, wow. So this money can actually amount to this. So I was surprised, So that little money that you think it won't amount to anything. In fact, you'll be surprised that it will save you in your in your raining days. Or do I say raining days?
Yeah.
It will save you when you actually need it. So save to invest. So that is what I would say. Save to invest. Don't just save to invest. And
Mm.
that is actually one of the ways to build the wealth. And also, if you are thinking about to invest in, like I said, land banking, real estate is one of the beautiful things to invest in. You can, if you don't have enough to go into it, you can come together. You can, in your circle, just look at your circle and say, okay, this person, let us come together, and buy this land. Thank God, buying of land now is not as before. You understand? It's not as before that, see, there are more knowledge to it now. In fact, 10 people can come together to buy a single unit of land, and you can engage a lawyer, engage a lawyer to, you know, to combine, to bind, to do an agreement, that will bind all of you together. And whenever the property appreciates and you want to sell it, you can always say, okay, let's sell this property and share it. So that way, there's nothing like the land belongs to one person, or there's a legal structure now that will help you secure your land, secure whatever investment you are doing. So you don't have to have it, or if you have little, you can start. You can start. You can buy stock. You can,
Yeah.
you can just start little, and before you know it, you are up there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before I double down on investments, I want to talk a little bit about expenditure, because at the end of the month, what determines what's left is not just how much you are collecting in the month. It's our spending culture, which is very hard. It's very hard for a young person not to live a comfortable life. It's hard to delay gratification. It's hard to say no to many things that are asking for your money. So, from your experience, what's the principle you've developed to ensuring that you are not spending beyond what you ought to be spending at your current level? Because we are all at different levels of life, and what you may be able to afford, I may not be able to afford it. But the truth is that sometimes we don't recognize that, and all of us wants to just operate at the same level. So at the end of the day, I have 0 naira left, but you still have small changes at 10K. If small change for you is 10K, it may not be for me. So my question now is, what's the principle around managing your expenses? A lot of things, family, relationship, 10K here, 10K there. What's the principle around managing your expenses so that at the end of the month, you still have enough that you can even save more or invest in something else? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand. This question of yours is it's actually it's challenging. It's challenging, but it is possible. Honestly, it is possible. Talking about black tax in Nigeria right now. You know, when you know when you start making money, especially to your family, they'll start seeing you as, okay. We now have a provider.
Now you
Honestly,
good.
they'll start seeing you as, I can see my longtime friend here, Michael. Nice to see you guys. Talking about the black tax. So honestly, you need to set boundary. You need to set boundary. If you don't set boundary, you end up being poor. Believe me. So setting boundary will help you, to navigate this. Okay, like just to make it practical, I will try to break it down how I was able to set boundary for my family, and there are people around me. So in terms of, so this is how my earning. Let's say my earning. So I already have a budget for to give out, either to my family, either to my friends, either to my. So I already have a budget out of my earning. So once I exceed that budget for that month, trust me, I'll push them to the following month. I'll tell them, see, I wish I can help, but at the moment, honestly, and that's the true way. You see, if you don't, if you are not intentional about this, you end up being poor. Honestly, even to my family, uh, at some point of my life, I had to make that decision. You know, I'm the first one of my mom, of my parent, and they rely on me so much, especially after I lost my dad. They relied on me so much on many things. So, and I needed to grow. I needed to grow in academics, in other ways. So, and I was like, okay, how do I go about this? Um, if I'm giving out all my money, if they keep coming to me and I'm giving out all my money, I'll eventually I'll become poor. So I let them know that, okay, so this is my budget for the month. This is my budget for the month. So basically, I didn't tell them how much I was earning, but I let them know that this is my budget for the month. Once I exit that budget, there's nothing for that month again till the following month. And by doing this, it's actually helped them to also build, to also have this discipline that, okay, this guy you already have this budget for us. So they already know. In fact, once they already know that once they exceed that budget, they don't even disturb me until the following month. So these have actually helped me to, to save more. Even if I make more money in that month, I've already set a boundary. I've already set, there's no way I will have enough to save. So I'm not just cutting all my taking. So I'm not spending based on my earning, because I've already structured my earning, in such a way that I'm not everything is structured. I know how much I'm giving out to people. I know how much I'm saving. I know how much I'm spending on myself. I know how much I'm spending on a investment and all that. So another thing you can do is to prioritize long term goals. I spoke about communicating clearly. Yeah, you need to be able to communicate clearly to them. You need to make them to understand, because sometimes when you don't tell them, they will start looking at you as a bad person. You need to let them know that this is how much I can afford at the moment. You know, Clear communication will help. So another thing is prioritize long-term goals. See, when you have it in mind that I put this thing, when you when you start investing in something, or when you start a project, be it any project, that is where your mind will be. So it will actually help you to cut down expenses. You know, it's just like you spending on a project. You're working on a project, your mind will be there. You want to finish it. You understand? You want to finish it. You don't want to attend to any other expenses. Be it you want to cut down all expenses to finish that project. So I would say working, just find something to do. Invest in something that will help you to cut down expenses. You know, there is an adage that say, I can't remember. But then my point is, once you have something doing, your mind will be there, and it will help you to cut down expenses. So you won't be spending anyhow. So your spending will be structured, because you already have something to spend money on. Especially, if you are on a journey to build wealth, you know that the end result is to have more than enough. Is to have more than enough. And to buttress this, if you don't cultivate this habit of saving, if you don't cultivate this habit of delay gratification, investing in long-term thing, you will end up poor. it's it's obvious, because it will now it means that as you are going, as things are changing, inflation is increasing. It will be that you know you don't have things to you don't have things to what to fall back on. You know, you don't have things to fall back on. Okay, to buttress this very well. Sorry, I'm just trying to make it more practical.
Yeah, we love it.
Okay, so the difference between a rich person and a wealthy person is that a rich person want to show lifestyle, you know, want to show that I can afford this, I can afford this, I can afford this, you know. Meanwhile, a wealthy person just want to invest in assets, want to invest in, you know, in investment, long-term investment, things that can bring money later, not now, later. So imagine someone that is investing in a long-term thing and the person is taking out of his money, putting it there. Your mind will be there, your mind will be there. So it will help you to cut down expenses because just like somebody saving for retirement. You don't want to retire and end up being you don't want to retire and end up being poor, not having enough to take care of yourself after retirement. You want to be sure that you have more than enough, even if you are not working. If you stop working, you want to ensure that you have more than enough to enjoy. So most rich people, they tends to fake their being wealthy. They tends to fake it. They tends to buy expensive thing. But you hardly see a wealthy people buying stuff. You hardly see them. They usually save. They save. They just keep saving, even when they don't know why they are saving. They just keep saving for rainy days. They just keep, saving until they have more than enough. So let me just stop here.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much. See, listening to you is doing something to our mind. It's helping us seeing life in a different perspective. It's questioning our behavior, how we've been doing things so far, and the fact that it can't get us where we are going. So it's like we're at the point of course correction. We can't just keep going this way and expect a different result. Wealth and our habits are not consistent. So definitely everybody on the call needs to have a time of self-reflection. I think that's something very important. It's time of self-introspection. If you really want to be rich, if you really want to be wealthy, do you think what you are doing currently will get you there? And if not, are you ready to make drastic changes? That's a bigger question for us tonight. But before I ask one of my last questions, I want to open the Q&A to everyone on the call. Is there anyone with a question from our conversation so far? Is there a question that's boiling in your mind? So hot, I want to release. I will just give a few seconds for you to raise your hand so I can call accordingly. So is there anyone with any question about wealth creation, about savings, about investment? I know we've not talked a lot about investment, on typical investment and all the structural agreements for real estate. But do you have any particular question in your mind that you want to ask? So while we wait for question, my next question before I now ask my last question for tonight is, this real estate thing is something I've been deeply considering. But one of the challenges is agreements and making it in a way that you don't lose it at the end of the day. Because your hard-earned money, you prefer to be in the bank or you even enjoy it than to put it in something that in the next 2 years, bam, it's gone. So how can we invest in real estate securely? Let's say 5 of us are gathering together. I want to raise like 5 million to buy land and keep it for 5 years. How can we do it right? What land should we buy? What land should we not buy? And how should we do it from your experience?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question. And before I answer that question, I have many of my people here.
Ah, wow.
I want to recognize the presence of my Oga at the top, Engineer Karim.
Ah,
He's my Oga at the top. So talking about real estate, so he knows so much about real estate. In fact, he's a builder by profession, and
wow.
he has also delivered so many properties, so many projects So who again? Yeah, I think I think Michael. Yeah, Michael. We met at the camp, NYC camp, and he's been a very good friend to uh there's this my guy here too. Sorry, I'm doing this. Yeah, so I also have Okpe the other time. Okpeyemi Adeniyi. So the other time I also had what's it called? Foremost. Yeah, Foremost Castle Construction. So that is actually my Oga too. He has taught me so many things about real estate. So let me now answer your question. So what type of real estate to invest in? What land to buy? So in fact, there's what we call land banking. You know, instead of you banking, saving your money in cash, you can do land banking. You can bank on land. Your two people, three people, four people can come together, and if you have the capacity, you can do it alone. You can just look for areas that you know that are just coming up, and things to look out for is, okay, this area, um just you need to now start thinking like, you know a wealthy people, the way wealthy people think. Sometimes when they invest in something, you don't know why they are doing it. You understand? You don't know why. Someone like Dollar now is investing in what's it called, electric cars or something. Yeah, he's investing in electric cars. Taking, in fact, most of his investment now is now on electric cars, because he has seen the future that later on people will no longer be buying for. I'm telling you. So he has seen the future. Now he's investing in it. You understand? So you need to be able to see future of any property you want to buy. You need to be able to see the future that this property I'm buying in 5, 10 years, what will be the reality? You know, what is the common thing around? What is the common infrastructure? What is that thing that will bring traffic to this property? Sometimes might be development. It might be government development around the government infrastructure. Maybe there is you know good road good road network around that property. Maybe it might be industrial area. There should be something that will connect you to that property. So you don't just wake up and buy property. There's something that should attract you to that property. So be it infrastructure, be it you know um you know and a lot of people do this mistake. They buy property because others are buying it. No, you don't buy property because others are buying it. You buy it because you've seen that this property will bring returns. Why do I say people buy property? Because other I'm in Lagos, and I've overheard many people advertising one property or the other. So, and I don't want to mention name, but then they will come and advertise this property to you, and because you don't do your findings, you are not able to know when this property will start earning you money, when this property will start appreciating. You are not able to know because, yeah, you've seen that other people are buying it. You also want to buy it. So you need to be able to do your market survey. You know, do everything. Make sure that, okay, this property in the next 5 years it will bring out returns. I'll give an example. There's this project I'm working on. This development. Um, it's called Eastern Courts. So Eastern Court is actually a hostel development. So we are building premium hostel apartments, student apartments around Funab. Federal University of Agriculture. So why did we pick that location? We picked that location because we saw the demand of, students looking for quality apartments to rent, premium apartments. So most of the students are tired of, renting out apartments that, as if they are in, as if they are in the cell or they are in the prison. So they are tired of living in the prison. They want something premium. So, and, you know, women will discover that okay, there are students that are willing to pay for premium apartments. So, and, we started this, and I can tell you the value of the rental value of that area now. In fact, some students are ready to pay as high as 600, 700 for a studio apartment. I mean, a room and parlor. Sorry, room and parlor, not room and parlor. I mean, a self-contained. They are ready to pay as much as 700,000, especially when you're not giving them the value they want. You are giving them internet. How many of your hostel have internet? So
Mm.
you are giving them 24 hours lights. Things that they lack around them. So you are giving them 24 hours light, internet, there is CCTV camera, you know, secure the premises and all that. So they will pay for it. Honestly, when you give value, people will pay for it.
Yeah.
So not to bore you, so, and this is why this was what led to, picking that location, because there is a demand for it. There's a demand for, you know premium apartments. There's a demand for apartments in general. So Akin Alabi once said, if you want to, you know start a business, you don't just start a business. He said you look for a starving crowd.
Mm.
In fact, that word I cannot forget. So don't just start a business, don't just buy any property. So he said, you look for a starving crowd. Look for people that, they are looking for that product.
Mm.
Look for that people that they are craving for it. He said when he started the Naira Bet, he didn't just start Naira Bet. He started Naira Bet out of, out of people looking for, there is already a market for it.
Yeah.
There's already a market that people wanted it. He actually, I think he started by selling out updates,
Mm.
written updates to people, about how they can bet online. He said many people go back to him that, okay, how can we do this with our Nigerian currency? So he now thought of it that, so many people actually reached out that how can they bet using their Naira? He now thought of, why not Kuku create, a platform where they can bet in Nigeria. There's no point of, betting
Yeah.
from afar, betting, why can't they do it in Nigeria? So he already had the market demand for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just it. So let me stop here. Don't let me take too much time.
Yeah, I see. I think we've gotten the point that,
Mm,
and this is something I didn't know before. For you to do land banking, you must be sure that in the next 5 years, there is something that will bring traffic to that environment,
mm,
or in so many years you plan, that would
mm,
increase the value of the asset. Because you may
yeah,
just think your land banking is in like investment, but you just kept your money
honestly,
in a
yeah.
fixed
So
deposit.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you very much. My last question for tonight, and if anyone has a question, please raise up your hand. We are closing
yeah.
now. My last question for tonight is this: in one statement, if you go back to when you were 20, given everything, just imagine that with who you are today, nothing is changing about you. You just wake up tomorrow and discover that you are in your 20 again. Everything about you is the same, except the fact that you are starting from where you were, exactly the location you were at your 20 years old. But your mind is the same, your body is the same, but you have to start from 20 again. What will you do differently in like 2
Ah,
minutes?
What will I do differently?
Yeah,
Number
especially
one,
in the area of wealth creation.
yes, number one, I'll start investing early. You
Mm.
know, some of us, while growing up, we always see investment as for the older ones. We see investment that, we are not yet there to start investing, to start buying land, to start building house. So that's our mentality then. So if I had to go back to my 20s, I will start investing early. And also, I'll also take calculated risks. Yes. I won't just take any risks. I'll take calculated risks. I will be sure that, okay, this thing, because there are a lot of things that I've done when I was in my 20s that I shouldn't have even, but then if I had to go back, I will take calculated risks. And also, I will not focus on lifestyle. Although I have to package myself, but then I will not focus too much on lifestyle. I will focus on assets, on building assets. Buying land, building houses. You know, and funny enough, mentality that we had then was that building houses, you don't tend to make your money back in quickly. We back then, we are so more on getting an instant gratification, so we don't think long. We don't think long. Meanwhile, wealthy people, they think long. They think long term. So I think if I had to go back, I will focus on assets. Assets, I'll buy. In fact, I will not be like those people that think building an house will not make me get my money back. No. I'll continue building. I'll continue building. And also, I think another thing is I'll learn fast.
Mm.
Yeah. I think in your 20s, if there's anything, learn fast too. Please.
Mm.
If you see any updates, quickly research on it, learn it quickly, start making money out of it. In fact, there's so many things I've actually made money from, which it took me time. Well, the question is now, what if I had learned it faster? Or sometimes, I don't know, Sha, but I think learning faster will help you to build wealth. It will help you. If I had to go back, I will learning faster. In fact, even back then in school, I don't. I'm not that type that quickly. I take my time to learn things. I take my time, so I don't learn it fast. But then it's something that I actually want to do if I had the opportunity. But though I think recently I've been able to build myself up to that level to learn things fast. Like I understand it better now. But then it would have been better if I had, started earlier. So don't let me waste much of our time.
Thank you,
So
bro.
thank you for
Thank you
having me.
very much. Thank you very much. Someone is raising their hand. So can you
Okay,
ask a question? Go ahead, Bola.
Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone.
good evening.
So I actually want to add to the point because at my early 20, I think I'm still in school. So, and I would like to talk about the aspect of maybe early stage of school, after school, or um, I don't know, at the early stage of career. Yes. So, as for me, what I think I will do better is growing my network, changing my mentality, my mindset, and how I see things. Yeah, so I'm actually this ambitious type of person, and also I'm actually very hardworking. But I understand that it's not about hardworking, but about smart working, and also how well we can utilize our network. Yeah, so that is it. Thank you. So if you can actually utilize our network wisely, we can actually grow wealth wisely, because by networking, that will deliver information, and without information, we cannot actually achieve a lot. Because by information, that's when you know connect. Oh, this is one gig, that gig, this and that. So by connection, by networking, sometimes you can actually pay for an event even though you don't need it. But you know behind your back, okay, fine, this is the reason why I'm doing this. So by networking, you can actually get it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Ah,
So
that's a very good point. Honestly,
very smart,
networking. I
very
forgot
smart.
to mention that.
Yeah, you
In
mentioned it
fact,
actually.
yeah,
Networking.
networking is very, very important. While, in
From opening access
fact,
from
while you are in your 20s, in fact, you should network. The people that you know in your 20s are the
mm,
people that you will do big things with in your 40s.
mm,
Honestly, look at the likes of Otedola, the likes of Dangote. Those guys, they were friends, you know,
mm,
when they were even much younger.
mm,
Davido father, Adeleke, you know, all these guys they started in their 20s together.
yeah,
So they were able to build that network. So today now, if any one of them want to venture into anything, all of them will invest.
yeah.
You understand? So they
I
usually,
get it.
you will see them investing. In fact, if you study them very well, you see them, they have similarities. They invest. In fact, they think in one direction.
Yeah,
They invest towards, if you see Otedola going into oil, before you know, Dangote is thinking of oil. The other person is thinking of oil. I'm telling you. So your net worth, your network will determine your net worth.
yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Please, can you please help me appreciate our guest speaker, our guest panelists for tonight, Bro Ben, Engineer Ben. Thank you so much. You are very, very great. Please, we are great. Please, I want to see your message on the group. And if you learn something or the other, please help me appreciate that emoji with a thank you message. Thank you very much, sir. And one of the key takeaways from me from this meeting is that your network is your network. I know I have relaxed in the area of networking because I feel I'm not selling anything, so I don't have a business. But now, anything I'm doing can be packaged into a value that I can meet people with every day. I say, my name is Bolu. I teach leadership. I host leadership stuff. Anything I'm doing, I'll package it and as a value that you can benefit from. And I want to do that as much as I can every day because your network is your network. And then the other first topic and positioning yourself opportunity, land banking, getting the value appreciation network of an asset before purchasing it. And 5 levels of information that it gives to us is also very profound. And also prioritizing long-term goals when it comes to saving. There's something you are spending money on that is your investment, which gives you a rationale for cutting down cost. Thank you very much. Karim Adetuji, you have a question, but I'm very sorry. Our time is
Please
up.
let him out to.
You ask,
That's my oga.
please, Karim Adetuji, you have the floor. In a minute, please.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you
we can
clearly.
hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Engineer Ben.
Good evening,
Okay, yeah.
Engineer Karim.
Okay, well done.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good, wonderful presentation from Engineer Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing those wonderful informations with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want you to quickly help me list out those 4 levels of information, the ones you see that I didn't get there. I got only two. So I would like you
Okay.
to help me with the remaining two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So number one is metric level. Number two is descriptive level. Number three is diagnostic
Okay.
level. Number four is
Okay.
prescriptive level. And number five is
Okay.
reconfirmation level.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you very much, Engineer Ben.
you're
Thank you very
welcome.
much, the organizer. I really
Thank
learned
you.
a lot.
Thank you very much. Happy to have you. Any other question before we close tonight?
Someone actually raised up. I saw one
Yeah.
hand.
Sammy Vic. Do you still
Yeah.
have a question? Or it's been answered? Uh, I'm Sammy Victor. Samuel. Do you still have a question or it's been answered? Can you meet? We can hear you. Okay, so let me assume the question has been answered.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay, tell me, you have a
Okay.
question? You can ask in 1 minute.
Okay, sir. So, hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. So, my question is actually indirect in a way because for some of us before this lecture, this is practical. But most of us we've been so theoretical, reading books. There's a lot of things people have to say. Warren Buffett books, this and that. But something that I noticed was, especially for all these people like all these Robert Kiyosaki that have written books, that their system is different from our own. Some of them tell us go and take debt, leverage on debt. All of these things like the way it works over there that they don't tax debt. But like because I'm coming from that angle before seeing I'm very grateful for this session, like very because it's practical and it's even in the system. But I'm saying that does it not have a way of conflicting with like what we have here, all this knowledge. So, do you understand my point?
I understand your point. I understand your point. In fact, let me give you a practical example. You see, all those things, you know, that was being taught by Robert, by Adam Smith, couple of them. All those things is because most of us we've not put it into practical. This issue of okay, let me first of all talk about this. If you want to become wealthy, start with debt. You know, you see, most companies, most big companies that you see, you'll be shocked that they don't use their money to do anything. I'm telling you, they don't use their money to. If, as a matter of fact, they will get bank loan to do things because they don't want to be taxed. In currently in Nigeria, if you calculate the amount of money you pay to tax, is a lot. Is a lot. So most of them they use this principle, gotten um from this economist. They use it to, in fact, the more knowledge you have on this determines how far you will go. Honestly, you see a lot of people, especially in real estate, they start real estate. Okay, like one of my leader, one of my leaders told me. I'll give you another example. So I didn't have this so much knowledge on taking loan. So I was explaining to me that okay, it's when you are building, you don't just take loan. When you are building, when you are working on a project, you don't just take loan and just start. You see, you can, that's why all this concept of selling off plan, you know, selling off plan, pre-sale, pre-sale, just to gather money, to build, option of off-plan sale, option of we coming together to buy a property. You just give people different option so as to, gather money. So you don't just collect money, you don't just take loan. And if you are taking loan, make sure that the project is already halfway done. Then you can now take because he gave me an example that um for instance, if you are a trader and I'm I'm a developer, it's a bank will give more money to a trader than a developer. And he told me why. He said a trader would um would turn over the money. Like, let's say the trader has 4 months to pay back the money. Within that 4 months, it's possible that a trader can turn over the money like multiple times. In fact, once they say even no matter the percentage, the interest they give to the trader, they say even when they say, oh yeah, pay 35% interest, it's nothing to the trader, because that 1 million, let's say for instance, he's collecting 1 million. That 1 million, he will use that 1 million to buy goods, resell, use it to buy goods again, resell, use it to buy another. In fact, he can do that like as much as possible. He can do it like 10 times before the final payment is done. Before the final payment, he finally takes back the money. But as a developer, it is not advisable, because you are taking that money and you are putting it on a static thing, on a static project, because the project will take time before it yield returns. It will take time. Meanwhile, a trader will quickly, it will, can yield the thing like couple of times. You understand? So what I'm just trying to insinuate is, the more you understand all these principles, the safer you are, the more you are able to cut risks, you know, the more you are able to even build more wealth. But if you don't understand all these principle of finance, principle of economics, principle of how to, spend money, you will not. There's no way. There's no way you are going nowhere. There's no way you can build wealth. So the principle is still valid, though. You know, principle of Roberts. All those principles are still valid. They are still valid in short. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope I've
thank
been able
you.
to answer the question. Mm,
Thank you, sir. Tell me, I hope your question was answered.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. God bless you.
Very much,
you're
everyone.
welcome.
Please, if you have any other question, just send it to me or to the email we've been conversing through, and I will do well to forward it to you and get it back to you. I think we are short on time. In fact, we are past time. Thank you, everyone, for coming again. Engineer Ben, we really appreciate it. We've learned a lot from you. Our lives are
You're
not the
welcome.
same. We are eternally grateful for this session with you. Thank you.
Thank you
May
for
God
having me. Thank you
God
for having
bless
me.
you. So I want to appreciate everyone
Amen.
for also coming tonight. I know there are people joining us for the first time. Apology, we didn't have the time to allow you to introduce yourself. But I want to recognize Adini, your Yokoyemi, Moses. It's good to have you. Bola, good to see you
Thank
again.
you.
Dario, I salute. Okay, Adini was saying something.
I'm just appreciating you. Thank you for this platform.
Yeah, it's
It's
an honor. It's an honor.
really good.
That's my oga.
God, thank you.
I'm just learning. I'm just
Oh
learning,
my
sir.
goodness. Dennis, thank you for coming. John, good to see you. Karim, Michael, Caleb, Oga, Fabi, Joshua, thank you for always showing up. Samuel and Timmy, I really want to appreciate everyone for coming. Consistency is hard, but many of us have kept showing up right from November last year. We are where we are, but we still have a lot more to go. It's every month. I will keep doing our best. Thank you once again. This video will be edited and uploaded on our YouTube platform. So be on the lookout. Bolo Atira Adepoju is the channel. So we'll upload it as soon as possible, but hopefully this week. Thank you once again, and have the rest. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of
Thank
your
you for
week.
this class. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr. Ben.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice week, everyone. Bye bye.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.